So I'm calling this part 2 of how to make an interesting area. I need to think of a better name than that because that's a bit rubbish really. But if you remember from part 1, I set about and put that cow drinker in. I dug it into the turf and then said that I would be removing all this grass. Today I've set about, I've done that. It's taken me a good 3-4 hours. It's not easy because I'm having to go down a good 6 inches, if not 8 inches in parts, but we've got it up. Now, I've had a rethink about this whole area. What I'm going to do is make this bit here like a stop end. So the initial idea is to put a couple of bars in here, put a round window in, and then put some lats in there. But I've decided now, because I'm going to make this a stop end, I need to tie it in with the rebar or the reinforcing mesh, which we've already got in other parts of it, which is this. And this is really, really nice, and it's a good way to get your climbers going. So that's a good method. And it's a method that I've pinched off one of my own gardens that I did at when I was on Gardener of the Year in 2004. I had this reinforcing mesh actually swinging between 2 sections like this. So it's something I've actually plagiarised from myself. Now, this is going to be completely clothed in roses, in ivy, clematis, and whatever other types of plants of interest I can find. The next section that I'm going to have problems with, which I did say on the last video, was this. And as I said, there's a pipe up there. That's a drainage pipe. Comes off the roof, off the gutter, down through, and for some bizarre reason, they've put that at less than a spade's depth, which is a bit naughty really. But because it comes down a hill, I can understand why they've done that, or a bank side. I can understand why they've done that. It's been a bit all over the place in areas. Now, that's not going to cause me too much problem because I already knew that that was there. What I'm intending to do now is, I talked about putting a brick edged path in here and then putting slates or rather tiles, something like that in this area. But what I've decided, having dug this all day, and not to take away more work, but to be more in keeping with what I'm already doing, and the bricks and the tiles that I've got, I'd like to say for another area really, because they're not easy to get hold of, and they would be much better served in another part of the garden, which is probably a project we'll move into next year. Now, I've done a bit of rejigging because yesterday I had talked about, and on another video that I did, of putting the path around this section here and making it go around there, and I talked about putting it in there. And again, on hindsight, and when you start thinking about these things, you come up with better alternatives. And that's what I've done here. I've come up with a better alternative. What I'm going to be doing now is, I want to, although this is going to be a nice seating area, there's going to be some alteration on the seat. And don't forget, by the time this is put up, and I am going to use reinforcing bar, I'm also going to mimic this area. So you can see that there. That has to be copied and brought to this section to make sense of it really. So we will add it onto there, and we'll bring it across to these grasses and bring it into there. So it'll be more of a corral, I guess, really, with this section here being non-accessible from that side. The idea that I'm going to use here is, I'm going to dig out more of that. I'm going to make this a front of a border so that you can't get into here, but so it has purpose from the other side. So when we look at it from here, you'll have
a mass of some type of planting, as I discussed yesterday, I'm likely to move that Monarda because I'd like to have it sat where that Miscanthus is, on the corner of that post, because when we're sat in there, it will exude a nice smell, as most Monardas do. So this will be like a stop end, you'll not be able to get through. This will be a little bit of a border in front there. And I don't know what the planting will be yet. I will use what I've got. I need to keep the continuity going. So when I talked about the path at the back, which is this one here, when I talked about putting it there, and I decided, well, because we're going to have this enclosed and it's going to be a seating area, you're not going to be able to go through there. So that's going to be really interesting, because you're going to be able to sit in there. And don't forget, once all the plants grow over it, it should look superb, because it'll be a mass of plants growing all over. What I wanted the visitor to do to the garden is take them on a bit of a journey of intrigue. And remember, paths are used for maintenance. Intrigue, as I've said, take you on a journey to lead you somewhere, always. And I've got this path here, which is a maintenance path, really, to get me to this section where I cut the grass, cut the hedge and the grass. And it goes all the way back up there as well. Ignore all that. That's where there was two very uneven surfaces, and I've filled them up with soil, and we've put some grass seed on that'll take over soon. So what it does is going back to this, what we're doing is we're trying to bring you down here, and we're trying to bring you on a bit of a journey of interest. And a lot of people, when they visit the garden, rarely come down here, very rarely come down here, because they tend to walk across there because it's easier access, and people are very, very lazy, and you've almost got to guide them and tell them where you want them to go. So that's what I'm doing, basically. I'm guiding them down here. And there's another reason for doing this. The main reason to do this is it brings them back here, and it gives them a view that they weren't expecting. It gives them all these views from a different angle. So they'll be forced to go round this way if they want to go and view the other garden, if they're actually down the garden here. And it is a nice view. And I'm fortunate to have the back end of this, because not many people have an area where they can put a border in and get to go both sides of it. But I do. So it will bring them round here. They'll come across this stuff, and then it'll bring them down this big path, which will have a planting at the end. And obviously, remember, it's going to have that reinforcing mesh on this end, and it'll have plants growing up it. So you'll see that's the seating area. Now, I'm definitely favouring putting hardcore down on here, because I just think it's going to be better. So we'll get some sort of an hardcore down, and we'll borrow my original idea of the gravel, which I use all around Grassy Bottom itself. The planting's starting to look interesting. I may have some jiggling to do. I've already moved some plants here. We've moved the bamboo from that corner. We've moved the fern from over the back end. The tub up on the top of the wall there is coming back in here somewhere. I don't know where yet. We'll find a place for that, or we'll find a place elsewhere in the garden if I feel it doesn't work in here or in this border. So we've jiggled stuff around. I've taken out the black elder that I had here, and I've put it there. It's going to be better long term there, because it's going to look like that. It's the same plant. It's a cutting I took at the beginning of the year, and it took rather well. It's doing all right. Then we've got Bruneras in here now. Now this Brunera doesn't look as good as this one, because this one has been taken out from the pond area, because it's not going to be any use in there once I make a start on the pond. So I'm at a quite exciting stage, really. I get quite excited by all this. It's sad, isn't it? But we all do. We all get a little bit sad about what we're creating. And I love this process of creating something new. So that's where we're at the moment. Just thought I'd give you a quick show, post another YouTube video so that you can see where I'm at the moment. Never expected to do this today. I was going to take a relaxing day, but like all great plans, They don't usually materialise how you wish they would. And it's been a lovely day. I'm expecting a week of rain coming as of tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get it. And the reason that I need it as well is because this area here is like rock. I've managed to dig out, like I said, about 8 inches of soil, but they've come out in clods, which has been good. But now that needs a pickaxe to break it. So I'm just going to let the rain do the stuff before I get to work on actually levelling this out. But right now you can see exactly how much I had to take it down. And that's why I dug that cow trough in, because we had so much to do on it. So it's looking good. I'm happy with that. And hopefully that's given you a little bit more inspiration and a little bit of guidance on how to do this sort of an area. We will come up with a better name instead of how to make an interesting area. And I will talk to you on the next one. Ta-da!